What's up, nerds? So meant to make this video earlier, but this is the second time I've ever been recording this video because I did my video earlier. I did it yesterday, and then got done with my little spiel and then realized I did not hit record. So I'm doing this. I just sat for like a good chunk of time just talking to myself. So, all right. I want to talk about the Superman Legacy casting that came out like last week. It was a lot of some good in there, some interesting thoughts in there and everything. But I want to go over the cast and just some of the plot details in terms of the story and what's going to happen. So one of the reasons that I waited to do a video is because I thought that they were going to cast Lex Luthor, because there was talks about Alexander Skarsgård being Lex Luthor and his brother Bill Skarsgård being cast as Lex Luthor. I personally am going for Alexander Skarsgård just because I think he's got a great look about him. Bill has a great look too, but Alexander Skarsgård, if you had seen Succession season 4, he pretty much plays Lex Luthor in that show. And it was just fantastic. Like, I'm telling you right now, he did a great job, and I want to see him as Lex Luthor. It would just be fit. It would be a feather in this movie's cap. I'll tell you that right now. So let's go over the cast that we know so far, and just, I'll give you my thoughts on it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. So there's Henry Cavill, who played Superman before. Love Henry Cavill. All right. So first we have David Corenswet as Superman. And a lot of people have said he looks like Henry Cavill light, and I think so too. And it says David Corenswet, and by the way, this is from Insider, but it says David Corenswet is known for his roles in Pearl, The Politician, and Look Both Ways. Now, David Corenswet has a great look. This isn't the best high-res photo of him, but he has a great look. He looks just like Superman. He's even got the little curl in some pictures. I'm pretty sure that's what helped him get it cast. I don't think he's the best actor on the planet, in my opinion. I mean, he was okay in Pearl, but Pearl was just kind of, for me, just kind of like a low kind of movie. But he was the only thing I've seen him in are Pearl and Hollywood, and I didn't like Hollywood, so I'm not gonna. We'll see how he turns out. But in terms of looks wise, he looks like Henry, AliExpress version of Henry Cavill, and he looks good as Superman. So, but good for him. We're going to go. I did a video on him and Rachel Brosnahan. We were about to talk about a video on that, but I want to give him some more. So now Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. It says the Emmy-winning actor is known for her roles in The House of Cards and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Now, I want to be honest with you about a couple things. One, I've only seen her in The House of Cards, and I've only seen a tiny bit of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. My wife likes that show. I've only seen like an episode and a half, and I was barely paying attention. I didn't think Rachel Brosnahan was a good pick for Lois Lane at the beginning of this whole thing. And the reason for this was because I was just like, I only saw her in House of Cards, and she was good in House of Cards, but her role in there was so minor. And then every time I saw a picture of her, it was her and her Mrs. Maisel get up. And I was like, I don't want to see this Lois Lane where she's all looking like she's from the 1950s or whatever. And then I started looking at pictures of her as actually, in real life. And I'll tell you what, this girl is actually, she looks great. I mean, these right here are just fan art, but she looks great as Lois Lane. So this, and I think she's a good actress. So I think for this, in the most part, this is the best casting for me so far. If Alexander Skarsgård gets cast, he'll be my second favorite. I really want Alexander Skarsgård, but she looks great as Lois Lane, and I think she's a good actress. So I think I approve this message at this point in time of Rachel Brosnahan being Lois Lane. So then we're going to go down to the next casting. We get Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. And it says Nathan Fillion voiced the original Green Lantern animated series, as well as starting Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the Suicide Squad, which here's a fan art of him as Guy Gardner, and I think he looks great. And I love Nathan Fillion. I know some people don't like him because they think he's just made for TV or whatever, but I think he's great. And I think he's funny. I mean, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he was so great in that movie, and he was downright hilarious, in my opinion. So I'm kind of excited to see, where he takes this character. And if you know anything about Guy Gardner, he's comic relief. So I think that this will be great for him in terms of that. So I approve him being Guy Gardner. So then we're going to go next to Isabela Merced. I think that's how you say her name. And this says Isabela Merced is also set to appear in the Sony Marvel movie Madam Web as another superhero, Anya Corazon. I do not know that character, and obviously Madam Web is going to be a part of the Marvel universe, well, Sony Marvel universe, Spider-Verse, whatever you want to call it. But I think she also played Dora the Explorer, which that movie was like fun and everything, I guess, but not really for me. It was way too kiddie. But one thing, again, Hollywood really hates redheads. They really do, because they did not want to cast a redhead in this role. They cast Isabela Merced, which I'm not against her. And I think she was on the short list to play Batgirl in that crappy Batgirl movie that got canceled. So, I mean, maybe they just went back to her. I'm not quite sure whatever. But here's a fan art of her as Hawkgirl. Let me just tell you right now, if she looks like this in the Superman movie, yes, please. This is sexy. I think this brings the, Hawkgirl to an elevation. But I do wonder what they're going to do with this character, and we'll get into the plot and everything of all that. But I am excited to see this character in live action on a big screen. They have done, they did that in the show of Legends of Tomorrow, which I actually did like also. So we'll see how Hawkgirl turns out and how Isabela Merced does. But I would say she's like more towards the bottom of me, of me with the cast. So next we get Edi Gathegi. I don't know how to say his name, as Mr. Terrific, and it says whose intelligence is said to rival Batman's. And yes, he's very smart. Mr. Terrific. These little balls right here in this picture right here, they like float around him and everything, and feed him information and all this fun stuff. And he's actually he's a good character. I like Mr. Terrific. They did him in Arrow, but I don't think they did him justice in Arrow, in my opinion. But it says here he played Darwin in X-Men First Class, which I think they also didn't pay justice to that character or this actor, because that character went bye-bye real soon. So then okay. So here's some fan art of him as Mr. Terrific. It's not my favorite fan art, but at the same time, I just go, I'll watch it. I'm pretty sure he's gonna, do the Hollywood beefing up and everything, and he's gonna look better. And I do think he's a good actor. It's just, we'll see. And again, this is at the bottom of my list, of acting wise, of is this a good job? Then finally, we have Anthony Carrigan plays Metamorpho, and it says he had a role in Barry, and then he also played 2 supervillains in DC shows Gotham and The Flash. Now, he only was in one episode of The Flash, I remember. I don't remember who he played. He played a metahuman. I can't remember which one. And then he was in Gotham as Victor Zsasz. He wasn't my Victor Zsasz, but he was Victor Zsasz nonetheless. Now, he's playing Metamorpho, and Metamorpho is a character that he can turn his body into any substance, and he's very cool. At one point, he even turns himself into kryptonite, and I was like, oh, that's good. That could be used, for later. And it'll be interesting to see now. Anthony Carrigan, I think he's a great actor. Him and Barry, I've only seen Barry season 1, and he's my favorite character on that show. He also was in Bill and Ted's the third one. What was that? The Amazing Journey or whatever. He was the robot guy that was like the dude hunting them down, the assassin or whatnot, the bounty hunter, which I also think was like really like super fun. He did such a great job in that role. And I think Anthony Carrigan is a great pick for Metamorpho. Metamorpho is a character that's never been in live action and very, not well known. And I think it'll be interesting. I mean, in his face, here's some fan art. I thought this was a great representation of Metamorpho. I mean, his face, all you got to do with his face is just make it white, because it's like very pale white. And I think he's got a great look. I think this will be so good, him as Metamorpho. And this is actually my second favorite casting choice in terms of cast. All right, so let's hop over to the plot. So fellow YouTuber and scooper, Grace Randolph, she put out this tweet, and I want to go over it because I have thoughts. So let me read the whole thing, and then we'll go over piece by piece. So it says, okay, here we go. Superman legacy conflict in the Middle East. Superman wants to stop it one way. Other heroes disagree. Lex Luthor is also trying to negotiate peace his own way. The Authority was a misdirect. Clever. It's actually a JSA type team or the actual JSA. Now, I just want to say right now, she contacted her sources from this. I mean, I deduced from whatever that the Authority was not real because they were casting all these JSA members, that it was just the JSA instead of that. But I thought maybe it was JSA versus Superman, which also I would be down for watching that also. So the Authority right here, they were not going to be in the movie. And I guess, and she said in a video that James Gunn did that because he wanted to misdirect everybody and think that the Authority was in this and that the Authority were the bad guys in this. And I was like, well, that was a good misdirect because, I mean, like me, I just believe anything that anybody says. I'm so naive to that stuff. All right. So the Authority is not in the movie, which is good because I thought that was a bad choice. I think bringing over the Authority into the DC universe is a bad choice, but whatever. So it says there is a conflict in the Middle East, and these people are all disagreeing on it. So what I was thinking what they could do was what they did in Young Justice season 4. And that is you have Queen Bee and Bialya attacking Korak, or you can make it another country or whatever, but they're attacking Korak. And then she said, Grace Randolph said that there were 2 dictators. And I was all like, well, Queen Bee is a dictator. You could totally have her in here. It's a DC villain. It's a DC country, and kind of like what they did with Corto Maltese in the Suicide Squad. So you have Bialya attacking Korak, and I think that would be great in terms of the conflict that they're talking about. And in each corner, you have Superman in one corner trying to stop it one way. You have the Justice Society of America trying to stop it in one way, and in the other corner, you have Lex Luthor trying to do his thing over there. And I think that this is all in part. I think this is a great idea. I think James Gunn is going to knock it out of the park, and this is how you do it, because I think that he's got a great head on his shoulders in terms of writing. And for me personally, I love James Gunn. So this movie, casting wise and story wise, sounds great. I'm 110% behind it. And if he knocks this movie out of the park, I feel like people will jump on board with this James Gunn running the DC universe. And I really hope that that happens, because I like this storyline, and I pretty much like the actors that he's chosen. I just need to see them in costume, and I just need to see them like doing their thing with special effects and all that stuff. And again, I do think that he can pull it out, because even though his Suicide Squad wasn't necessarily for everybody, and it didn't make an overwhelming amount of money at the box office, but the pandemic and everything and that day and day release thing, I liked it a lot. I really liked that. I mean, he brought in Starro. I mean, come on, who would have thought that anybody would bring in Starro into live action? I mean, like, come on. So I think if anybody can pull this out, I think it's James Gunn. And I really hope he does pull it out, because I would like to see this movie. All right, you guys. So that's my thoughts on the casting of Superman Legacy and the plot, which we have to take everything with a grain of salt, but the plot and everything. And I think it sounds really good. I think that this movie is going to be pretty good. So far, we have to see stuff. They're not filming right now because the strike and everything. But I'm excited to see it because I'm just such a huge DC fan. I love DC, and I really hope it turns out great. All right, you guys, tell me what you guys think about this. Do you like the casting? Who's your favorite cast member that they picked for this? What do you think about this plot, or do you just not believe Grace Randolph at all? But tell me what you guys think. If you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we keep getting shoved to the back of the line. So please ask you to like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. And as always, you can leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on my next DC video. You guys have a good day. Bye.